From the studios of WCTV, Wilmington Community Television, this is Election 2014 Candidates Night, featuring the candidates for the Wilmington Board of Selectmen. Tonight's program is presented by the Wilmington Town Crier, Wilmington's weekly source for local news and information. The Wilmington Chamber of Commerce, advancing the cause of Wilmington businesses since 1961. Reading Cooperative Bank, investing in your success with 2 branch locations right here in Wilmington. And WCTV, keeping you in touch with your community on television and online. Time now to begin our special Candidates Night presentation. Here's our moderator, Jane Miller.
Hello and welcome to Candidates Night 2014. I'm Jane Miller, news editor of the Town Crier, and I will be acting as moderator this evening. Candidates Night is a long-standing tradition here in Wilmington. Residents have come to rely on this forum as a vital tool in determining who will earn their vote. Candidates have come to rely on this forum as a vehicle for distinguishing themselves from their opponents. I'd like to thank the Wilmington Chamber of Commerce, Reading Cooperative Bank, WCTV, and the Town Crier for sponsoring this event and for keeping this invaluable tradition alive. Tonight we'll be airing 2 separate events. The first will be a discussion between our panelists and a candidate for the Board of Selectmen, and the second, following a brief intermission, will be a debate between the candidates for school committee. Please welcome with me tonight our panelists, Sharon Crowley of the Town Crier and Tom Zuppa of the Lowell Sun. Please welcome also our candidate for the Board of Selectmen, Mike McCoy. Due to extenuating circumstances beyond her control, Judy O'Connell regrets that she will not be with us this evening. We will begin with an opening statement from Mike McCoy, followed by questions from our panelists. Mike, take it away.
All right, thank you. First of all, I want to say hello to everybody. First of all, my name is Michael McCoy. For those of you who do not know me, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm 55 years old. I lived in Wilmington all of those 55 years. As many as our young kids today, I too played Little League. Unfortunately for football was weight restrictions in Pop Warner, but anyway, I was an altar boy at St. Thomas of Villanova, served with Father Croak. I was one of the original altar boys here in St. Thomas. Relative to my education, I went through the Wilmington Public Schools. I graduated in 1977. From high school, I went on to college. I received 3 college degrees, one of those degrees being that of a master's. But I believe education is meaningless unless someone's committed to its community. I've been committed to my community. In 1984, I opened up a restaurant for the past 30 years known as Michael's Place. In 1984, I was also appointed as a member of the Wilmington Planning Board. And in 1987, I decided to run for the seat of Wilmington Board of Selectmen, and I've been serving on that seat ever since. I also am a member of the Wilmington Sons of Italy and also a member of the Tewksbury Wilmington Elks. I believe over the past 30 years we may not all agree relative to development. You know, some people aren't happy, some people are happy, but I believe for the most part we've done a good job in this community trying to keep business away from residential. And I believe deep down in my heart that we're trying to keep Wilmington in a nice New England setting. And I think that we've done that. And right now, as a member of the Board of Selectmen, I really believe this board is working as a team. We've done a good job. I've been on the board for a number of years. I believe that this Board of Selectmen is perhaps one of the best boards of selectmen I've ever served. We may not agree on everything, but for the most part, we get the people's business done. And I will just talk about a couple of quick things. We also purchased Yentiles Farm. We also purchased the property at St. Dorothy's Church. We purchased those properties without raising one tax dollar. We took those monies from free cash. Obviously, it was subject to town meeting vote. And we've done the best we can relative to the residents of this town. And I will be more than happy to answer questions, and I'll follow up that towards my closing because I believe it's time to stop. Thank you.
All right, our first question will be from Tom Zuppa of the Lowell Sun.
Thank you, Jane. Good evening, Selectman McCoy. First question is, what should the town do with the Whitfield School?
Tear it down. I mean, I've said from the get-go months ago that to Jeff, we had the joint meeting between the school committee and the members of the Board of Selectmen. I said to Jeff, I go, you want to save $150,000 in consultant fees? The Roman school has to go, and I said the Whitfield School without hesitation. When we spend $84 million on that beautiful high school, do you really want to see you really want to see that building right in front of the Wilmington High School, the old Roman house? I don't think people would want to see that. And just because it's old, does that really mean it's historic? And the Whitfield School, it should be no surprise to anybody. The bottom line is it's been there for years, and it's fallen apart. And I can't see spending tax dollars just to rehab it over and over again, putting a new roof, spend $30,000, $40,000. So that's, and I believe, and I was the first to say that, I think it needs to be torn down.
Okay. All right. Our next question will come from Sharon Crowley of the Town Crier.
Hi, hello. In regards to Main Street and the increasing number of empty storefronts, the closure of Staples, a number of small restaurants, and other businesses. As a small business owner yourself, how can Selectmen encourage business and development on Main Street and throughout Wilmington?
Well, let me touch upon it in the industrial way. For example, analog devices. They came before the Board of Selectmen. They passed legislation allowing towns to give like a tax break to certain companies. We're also competing with Ireland. Analog devices came before the Board of Selectmen with a representative from the Commonwealth. We can give a tax break only on the new construction, but the existing buildings that are there, we're going to get the maximum tax dollars. So I believe in to help these companies expand. I don't want to see them go to Ireland. I want to keep the business here in Wilmington. So I would definitely vote for a tax reduction of new growth relative to those areas. As far as Main Street goes, there are several storefronts. I don't know too many restaurants that close up, to be totally honest with you, but I do know Staples has closed, and that's a decision that they had to make because they had to cut back, obviously, and they've closed hundreds and hundreds of stores within the country. And as far as these vacancies, yeah, you're right, there are some vacancies in some of these small little mini malls, and we started to see a little store pop up as like a smoke and pack shop or some of these other candy stores, which is kind of nice. I mean, I'm not a smoker myself per se, but if somebody wants to open a business and there's a clientele out there, so be it. But there are some vacancies, but I'm starting to see them slowly starting to rent out those stores. It's taking time. I realize, the economy is still not where it should be, and I'm a realist, I understand that. So I think slowly things are starting to come back slowly. It's not there yet. I don't think we're ever going to see those good old days, but it's coming back slowly. So I really believe, and if I talked to a town assessor, Skip Moynihan, before he retired, and a new town assessor, that there's very minimum vacancies in the industrial park areas, and that's where we're receiving big tax dollars. However, you're right. We need to do something, and I don't think us as a Board of Selectmen can really enhance that, but I'm willing to give a vote to Analog to give them a tax break to keep those jobs here in Wilmington. I don't want to see it go to Ireland. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next question's from Tom.
Mr. McCoy, you've said that with the change in leadership in the town, with several department heads retiring or about to retire, you've said the town needs to look at everything to ensure payouts to these departing and retiring employees won't reach the levels in other communities. Exactly what steps should the town take to limit its liability for pensions and future payouts?
I understand, Tom, exactly what you're saying. It's the old saying, a golden parachute. And we've seen many communities giving out hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to their superintendents, to their town managers. Here in the town of Wilmington, being on the board for a long time, when we're negotiating contracts, we've tried to work things in those contracts to try to reduce this. And the town has done a good job. And we saw the town manager, we also saw Don Onosite retire, and the superintendent. Combined is a lot less money than, I believe in Drake, somebody retired was getting over $100,000, one individual. I think it was Drake or maybe Chelmsford. So we're trying to do what we can as members of the Board of Selectmen. When we sit down and negotiate with unions, we're trying to do the best we can. We understand the professionalism to help these individuals, but we also have to understand the tax dollars and what that means. And I think the board, over the past several years, we negotiated contracts, and we've taken things out of, even with the town manager, we sat down and negotiated with the manager, buybacks, trying to reduce it, maximum time allowed, pay back so much on so many certain days. I think the town has done a great job in doing this, and I think the people in Wilmington should be proud of their Board of Selectmen that we've done a good job and try to do this, and we've done it. You don't have to take my word for it. You read it in the local newspaper or the Lowell Sun. We've done it.
Okay. Next question's from Sharon.
The town has made several large land purchases recently, including a parcel near St. Dorothy's Church and the Yentl Farm property. What do you envision for these parcels? How should the land best be used?
That's a great question, and my answer to this is I don't plan on going to the taxpayers and ask for $10 or $20 million to do something to these properties. And I'm glad we got to this point, because that was at the point when I had to stop. We purchased property in Tiles Farm. We purchased property at St. Dorothy's Church, and I'll say it again, without raising one tax dollar. We did this taking money out of free cash. Not too many communities in the Merrimack Valley or the Commonwealth itself has a substantial amount of free cash. We have a little bit more than $12 million in free cash, subject to town meeting vote. We're also in the process of building an $84 million high school that should have went online September 2014. And I've never been a person to hold back on words. We had a bunch of idiots that decided to appeal every decision that the town has made. And that's cost us $1.5 million. Not we have to raise $1.5 million outside the budget, but within the budget itself of the appropriation for that high school, $1.5 million we were able to find to take it. Just think what we could have did with $1.5 million. We could have did something for our seniors, we could have did something for public safety, we could have did something for education, but that did not happen. Talking about these sites, you know, let's be honest, God's not making any more property these days. We had an opportunity at a reduced rate to purchase in Tiles Farms, which was a smart move. And we're going to look at it, not to just put another soccer field. We want to try to get the feeling from most of the residents. Some residents talked about a little park to walk their dogs, or a place to sit down and have a nice lunch, or have some type of recreation, which I'm in favor for. St. Dorothy's on Main Street. Someday, we're going to have to talk about a new town hall / school administration building. What a perfect spot for that, on Main Street. And we bought these properties at a reduced rate, saving hundreds of thousands of dollars. Once again, we did not raise one tax dollar. It was subject to town meeting vote, and I'm not going to be here next year, 3 years from now, saying let's raise $20, $30 million to start that. We're planning for our future, just like what we do at home. We plan for our future, and that's what we're doing, planning for our future. Thank you.
All right. The next question is from the Sun. That would be you, Tom.
Thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay, thank you. Selectman McCoy, what can you as a selectman do, or what can the board do to increase the transparency of government in town?
I can honestly say that. I think for the past few years, I think we've done a pretty decent job. On the Board of Selectmen, for example, and I created it many years ago when I was chairman in the 2002-2003 public comments. So if somebody came to a selectmen's meeting and had a concern relative to public comments, that's just not an open mic for anybody to talk about the man on the moon. It's come to get a quick answer, and basically, I thought it was basically to help people through the maze of local government, try to give them a quick answer at that meeting, or direct them to go see the town manager or the town assessor or the clerk's office. You know, and I can honestly say I've been in business a long time, and I've been involved in politics a long time, and I have to say the majority of people that work in the town of Wilmington are outstanding town employees. They're pleasant, they greet people. I mean, not only because I go there as a selectman, I hear many positive things. So I believe that the town is working in a professional manner. I think the new town manager, and we'll talk about that in a moment, I'm sure, has done a good job as our new town manager. So I think everyone's doing as best as they can. Are there some individuals that could probably work on people skills? Heaven knows they're out there, no matter if it's the private sector or the public sector. But overall, I think the town of Wilmington, you know, they've got great employees, and I've heard a lot more positive than many negatives. Thank you.
All right, Sharon?
Okay. Does the town receive its fair share of local aid? And what legislation do you want to see passed on Beacon Hill? How would it help Wilmington?
Well, I'd be remiss not to say I would love to see more local aid. Therefore, if we receive more funds from the state, we could absolutely do a lot more. And I understand budget constraints. For example, from what I understood, at the intersection of 62 Middlesex to Glen Road, you know, it's a dangerous intersection. And we've been trying to do work for that many, many years. And we were actually, and funny enough, you said that, January, they were advertising it. And they're supposed to go construction and to put out a bid sometime between January and June and actually do work on that site. Evidently, it's not going to happen, folks, because I was talking to the town manager just, you know, a couple days ago pertaining to this. It's not going to happen. It's because right now, the Department of Transportation, it's in limbo right now between the House of Representatives and the Senate, evidently because of their budget. And what it is, it's in conference committee, from what I understand, between the Senate and hopefully the State House, the representatives, and hopefully they work a compromise, because we really need that. And on a personal note, my son Michael almost got killed. And I'm going to talk about professionalism. My son was coming out of Glen Road like many individuals. He was with his girlfriend. A car was coming out, or a truck out of Glen Road, right onto 62, hit into my son. They had to use the jaws of life to take his girlfriend out, and he had to get rushed to the hospital. And I know the people that live in that area, the Kelly family that lives there, and they said there's accidents there all the time. So I hope they're not playing political football with this thing. We need to do something. We need to do it immediately to take care of that. And I would hope to think that would answer your question. Thank you.
Great. The next question is from the Sun.
This might be the most important question you answer all night. What can the town do to bring back the great 4th of July tradition?
You know, that's a great question. And, I mean, we're trying to do what we can as a town and to try to help these folks. I mean, the bottom line is, and I do support the town manager on what he's stated on his feelings. He held the public meeting to try to get input. We've really worked with the 4th of July committee, and I know we're in the process of building an $84 million high school. And there was talk about, you know, they were shooting off fireworks a few years ago, and it caused a little bit of fire on the roof of the old high school. And here we are spending $1 million plus for a beautiful state-of-the-art track for our students. $84 million high school, $84 million. And I don't want somebody to come and say, you know, we told you so, and you shot fireworks and say something caught on fire. Now, until they can show to me that they can guarantee me 100% that we're not going to danger building an $82 to $84 million high school, $1 million track of Ambers, I'm all ears. I'm all ears. You know, I believe someday this tradition will come back. I enjoy going to the 4th of July festivities, meeting people out there. I close my restaurant 4th of July week, and that's my vacation time. You know, so sometimes I'm in Wilmington, sometimes I'm not. But when I'm in Wilmington, I love going to those festivities. I know they're going to do something with the Shriners and try to help those folks. And all these wonderful organizations like the Kiwanis and the Sons, and these organizations, the Chamber of Commerce selling their wonderful strawberry shortcake, they need these activities to make fundraising. So I'm all in favor of trying to help everybody, but, you know, we have to think of the taxpayers and the people shelling out all that money for this brand-new facility. You know, I don't want them to be upset and say, see, we told you so. However, I believe sometime in the year 2015, we'll try to really work something out. Thank you.
Okay. Next question's from the Crier.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Politics is often about prioritizing choices, for example, allocating scarce resources across multiple needs. What are your top 3 priorities while serving the town of Wilmington?
I think our top priority is make sure that high school gets built. We have a major investment. And once again, and I won't even call them what I called them earlier, and I'll say it again, yeah, they were a bunch of idiots, appealing every decision in the town. And our priority is the education in this community. I've served on this board for a long time. And even with Mike Kyra, we would pump in another $1 million above and beyond the education of the appropriation at town meeting. So we've always tried to help our school departments. And I know years and years ago, and I have to say, I see a member of the school committee members and boards of selectmen really didn't get along many, many years ago. But as time went along, we've said, listen, we need to work together. And we have worked together. And I think education is one of the most important things to give our kids. I have a son who's autistic. They have a fantastic program relative to special ed. They do a great with my son. And, you know, they're out there and they're doing what they can. I know we need to prioritize. But other students, they look at my son and other kids that are autistic and they treat them really nice. And they all know who my son is and my son know who they are. And it's a really great program. The second thing, obviously, is public safety. We want to make sure that the residents who truly foot the bill in this community are safe. They deserve the essential services that they deserve paying that. When they pick up the phone and call 911 and they need an ambulance, it's going to be there, or fire, or the police. We have 2 great chiefs in this town. Mike Pagonis does a great job as our police chief. You know, he understands what's going on. We have a great police department. We just hired 6 new recruits here in the town, and we're doing a good job. And the other thing would be, like we talked to earlier, try to drum up business in the community. So those would be my 3 priorities. So once again, try to keep all the business here in this town, because business pays 45 cents of every dollar in this community. They pay everything. And we have to keep fact, but then again, we don't want to look out our windows and see another Everett or Revere. And that's not happening. The town is, I think, coming along well, and it's still a nice New England setting. And I'm still going to vote to keep those jobs here in Wilmington, not ship them to Ireland. Thank you.
All right. Tom.
Selectman McCoy, what's the best approach to keep Silver Lake safe for swimmers, but still protect the neighbors around there?
I mean, from what I understand, I guess there's legislation that went back years and years ago, and the chief of police brought that to our attention. I mean, the bottom line is, I mean, we really need to take care of our residents first. That's priority number one. We, obviously, from what I understand, outside people that live outside the town of Wilmington are able to come here in the town and utilize that. So we need to look at the fee structure. We really need to have some type of consequences if somebody does something wrong. And it's usually people that live outside of the town that are coming abusing it, trying to sneak drinks in there somehow and abusing it, making fun of people at the beach. That shouldn't be allowed. Nobody needs to be made fun of in this community, not at all, you know? And that's what we need to do, is probably present special legislation at our town meeting, present a new bylaw, maybe increase fines, do something that will actually protect here in the residents in the town, especially those people that live in the area, you know, because they see it day in and day out, you know, and if you mess up at that beach, kick them out and not allow them ever to come back. That's what you need to do, you know, but we need to have special legislation at our town meeting, and that's what we need to do. And we're going to be talking about that, and that's what we really need to do.
Does that answer your question, Tom? All right. Good. The next question's from Sharon.
Selectman McCoy, where does the cancer study stand now in Wilmington? Would you support renewing efforts into investigating childhood cancer in Wilmington?
Absolutely. I definitely would support investigating childhood cancer. They have shown that it is higher in Wilmington than other communities. And I fully support that since day one. I fully support that today. And I'll fully support it in the future. It's important that we have these studies. And the Board of Health, led by Shelley Newhouse, she's done an outstanding job as a department head, making sure that we're on top of that. And I have all the confidence in her. She's doing a great job, and that's what we need to do. And I absolutely support it. And it's sad to say it is higher in Wilmington than other communities. There's a reason for that, and we need to be on top of that.
Okay. Tom, this is your last question this evening, but we could go a little longer. How are you feeling?
I feel great.
You feeling good? Because
Bring it
you
on.
don't have a break at all.
Bring it on, bring it on.
All right,
There you go.
outstanding.
I feel great.
Okay.
What steps should the town take to make up its gap in unfunded pension liability?
We need to sit down with our chief fiscal officer, who is the town manager. He needs to recommend to us what we really need to do and to do that. I understand some pension funds have gone out of control and it's skyrocketed, but we've seen that in other communities, not here in town, especially on a state level. When you see somebody who's in charge, of a housing authority double dipping, that makes no sense. So we've seen that on more of a state level as opposed to a local level. But you're right, we really need to address that to make sure that it doesn't get out of control. And it hasn't been out of control here locally. Statewide, absolutely. And I would be, I'm not, remiss not to say that the state really needs to do a better job policing themselves as opposed to local communities. We're on top of it, I think, better than the state, to be honest with you.
Okay. Sharon?
Selectman McCoy, Wilmington has received accolades for being an affordable home ownership community. What are the qualities that make Wilmington an affordable and attractive community for residents?
All right, number one, the tax rate. I understand the tax rate here in the town is like $14 and change per thousand, and I believe it's $33 and change for commercial and residential. I think you get a great bang for your buck here in the town of Wilmington, and we'll talk about that in a little while in my closing. Business, either we're blessed or we're cursed having 4 entrants and exits off I-93. That's out to debate. Has there been an increase in traffic? Absolutely. And I don't think by adding another stop sign or adding another set of lights, all we're going to do is move traffic quickly from here to here and stop. All right? So there's people can take it for what they want to believe in, whether it's a curse or a blessing. The bottom line is I think, the town has done well, and I just see us trying to keep tax residential rates low because we do try to plan. You need a great plan to try to have industry in a certain area and try to keep it separate from the residentials. Nobody wants to look out that back window and see a big block building. Nobody wants to see that. I don't think people moving to Wilmington wanted to see that when they decided to move to make their roots here in the town of Wilmington. So I think planning's important. I think we've done a decent job at it. Everybody may not agree to that point, but we need to keep Wilmington like that nice New England setting. Hey, we have low crime rate in this community. I mean, obviously, the town provides wonderful services in this community, and Wilmington is one of the most desirable places to live in the Commonwealth. We won awards statewide and nationally, one of the best places to live in the Commonwealth. And it's a great community. And I think that speaks volumes on what we've done here in the town of Wilmington. And I'll say it again, I think this board has done an outstanding job working together collectively, and I see another member of the board in the audience. And I think we've done a good job. Can we do better? Anybody can do better. And I'm all ears, and I don't proclaim to know all the answers, but I'm willing to listen, and I think I've done that. Thank you.
All right. Do you have another question? Or shall?
I think we can go to final.
I think we can. All right. All right. So if you would like to give us your closing statement, Mr. McCoy.
All right. First of all, I appreciate the fact that WCTV is holding that here this evening, and I want to thank all the members of the press and you, especially Madam Moderator. I just want to touch upon a few things in my closing. I think one of the best votes I could make and the biggest votes I could make on behalf of the constituents of the town was the appointment of a new town manager. At the time, they were doing a nationwide search, and Mike Kyra, I thought, did an outstanding job as manager, chief fiscal conservative, and that's what we need to do, take everything in a conservative manner, be fiscal conscientious of that. And there was a talk about a nationwide search on the next new town manager. I said, we have the town manager here in the town hall, Jeff Hull. And I said since day one, we should hire this man because he's been assistant town manager for 20-plus years. I'm a firm believer of promoting within. I think you promote somebody in your business or in a community, you get more of that individual. And it says, thank you for your service. We're going to promote you, and now you're going to expect more from that individual. And I think Jeff has done an outstanding job as our new town manager. I want residents to know out there, you get a great bang for your buck here in the town of Wilmington. We have no bus transportation fee, no kindergarten fee, no trash pickup fee, no sports fee. Many communities that abut the town of Wilmington pay thousands and thousands of dollars a year just in these fees alone. So I think you get a great bang for your buck here in the town of Wilmington. I think one of my best attributes as being a member of the Board of Selectmen is I'm accessible. You know where to find me. I believe I see more people on any given day than any local or state politician. Being the business that I'm in, I always return my phone calls. I'm happy to meet people at my restaurant or at their home. I'm accessible, and I think that's one of the great things about myself, and I do those sort of things. And let me just say in closing, my roots run deep in this community. I'm 55 years old. I've lived in Wilmington all of those 55 years. My dad had a barber shop at the corner of Lowell Street at Lucci's Plaza for many, many years. You know, I went through the public schools. I went on, married a wonderful girl that's in the audience. Danielle, I love you. We have 3 beautiful kids. One of my sons is going to college, wants to become an electrical engineer. One of my sons, Chris, he's autistic. He's outstanding. They do a great program. And my daughter, Jocelyn, is finishing up her program. She wants to be an esthetician. I didn't forget that, you know? And they have an amazing, amazing special ed program here at Wilmington High. And I believe this seat that I possess is just a temporary seat until the next election. And I want people out there who didn't vote for me 3 years ago, I hope to think I proved to be your selectman. I've always said, for those who did not vote for me, I want to be your selectman too. And I think I've proven myself as far as doing the job. I love being a member of the Board of Selectmen. I enjoy getting up in the morning. I understand how it is to manage a budget. I've had a business for 30 years. I know there's a lot of folks in this community that are married, husband and wife, that are both out there working, you know, to put food on the table, to pay their bills. I understand. There's no magic credit card out there, folks. You people foot the bill in this community, and I think we've done a great job. We get a great bang for our buck in this community, and I hope to think the election is April 26th on a Saturday. I'd appreciate one of those 2 votes, and even though I'm running unopposed, I want people to know I will be out there campaigning, taking phone calls. You're going to see me there election day, and I'm going to continue to do what I've been doing. And I enjoy being a member of the Board of Selectmen, and I wish that you consider me, giving me one of those 2 votes, and it means a lot. Unfortunately, Judy's not here tonight with us, and I can say I've enjoyed serving with Judy. I think she's done a great job on the Board of Selectmen, and I want to say that publicly. And I want her family to know that, and I want constituents to know that. We're working together, and I'll say it again, I think this is perhaps one of the best boards of selectmen I've served on in many years. We're getting the people's work done, and people out there can rest assured that we're doing a great job, and we want to make sure that we work within the budget, and we've done an outstanding job. And the assistant town manager, Kendra, I've met her a few times, she's doing a fantastic job. And she's a professional. And I know it says to stop, and what am I going to do if I decide not to stop?
Nothing we
All
can
right?
do.
Okay?
Just gonna keep running.
All right? All right, so, hey, once again, I really appreciate everybody coming out here tonight. I see my beautiful wife in the audience. I want to thank members of the press and our moderator. And once again, let's get out there election day, and I appreciate your support. Thank you, and I wish everybody a pleasant evening and pleasant night. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you for attending and viewing Candidates Night 2014, and congratulations to you for taking the time to educate yourself about the people who seek to represent you. Mike and Judy will be our stewards for the next 3 years on the Board of Selectmen. I'd also like to remind residents, as Mike just did, that this year's annual town election will be held Saturday, April 26. Polls are open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Please note also that Wilmington's annual town meeting, which represents the purest form of democracy, will be held on Saturday, May 3rd, beginning at 10:30 a.m. in the Wilmington Middle School auditorium. Thanks to our media partners and local sponsors. We look forward to seeing you again next year.